Hello, it is 10:30 p.m., an hour and a half after the events of the death of Robb Stark, Catelyn Stark, and Talisa Stark. And after reading the books, I knew this was going to happen. I knew it would be terrible to watch. I knew it would be tearful, but I didn't expect it to be like this. To read about it is one thing, to see it unfold is another. The way it was unfolded in this episode was shocking, even if you knew it was coming. The brutalization, especially with Talisa, of getting stabbed in the chest repeatedly to kill the baby inside of her, killing her. It's just terrible to watch. And watching these characters that you love for the past couple of years die in front of your eyes. It's no words for it, basically, for how sad it is, you know. And why are we here? The question is, why do we care about these characters? Why do we care about a show this much? And I have to respond to that with, because we can. You know, we interject our emotions, our wants into these characters. We want them to succeed. We want them to go forward. And to see that, them die, kind of takes a little piece of you inside. That's what good entertainment is. And that's why Game of Thrones is the best show on television, cable right now, for HBO especially. Hands down. This is why it's the best. Because in these moments like tonight, we saw it unfold tremendously with the sheer passion in these actors, especially with Catelyn Stark today. Seeing through her eyes, Robb Stark, her only son left, being killed off, puts tremendous amounts of sorrow and unspeakable frustration in her. And her killing that Walder Frey's wife was brutal as hell. And to see him shrug that off was terrible. He's the biggest villain, biggest monster on the show, even worse than Joffrey. Because Joffrey was not raised correctly. He was raised to think he was all-powerful. Walder Frey was raised to think otherwise. Walder Frey was old, conniving, terrible man. I said in one of my reviews that he's like Craster. Hold by to that. He's worse. I'm sorry. I got that wrong. He is worse than Joffrey, worse than Craster. He's the worst person in this show. Worse than Tywin Lannister. And all these events that take place are actually close to history. George Martin takes things out and puts in his book from history of events like this happening, with wedding ceremonies that turned out to be slaughterhouses for other people in the Middle Ages. And I have to look that up to see what it was, but moving on from that, I usually do reviews about these events and how they occur in Game of Thrones and do reviews on them. But tonight, I'm probably just going to do a raw, not review, talking about just the facts, just the area regarding Robb Stark and the death and fall of him right now. Where it all end for him? I guess it ended when he was married to Talisa. He broke that pact with Walder Frey. Walder Frey does not take lightly to that. And not even Catelyn could see this coming. In the books, it played out a little bit differently. What I was shocked was to see the brutality to Robb Stark's wife. She was never present at the wedding in the books. Robb listened to his mother in the books and had her stay back and not go to the wedding. And to see her at the wedding, I thought she would just walk away. That is not the case. She stayed, and she was the first to get stabbed. That was terrible. And I have to say, that was the most painful death I've seen on this show. I've seen Ned Stark get killed off, and that was before I read the books. I read them right after that. And it was terrible to see your character being taken away before your eyes. We just got to know them a little bit better, especially Talisa. And now, my theory is that we're going to see the full effects of her death come into play. Remember, she's a highborn from Volantis. What does that mean? It means, this is a theory. Remember, Talisa isn't in the books. She's a totally new character. Okay? Theory. She is dead. Her family will probably avenge her. That means her family will probably unite with Daenerys and gather support in the Free Cities to go and attack Westeros for killing their child. Which means they're probably going to unite with the North to kill Walder Frey and all the South and Bolton. When will they do this? Probably when her dragons are fully born, which will probably be a year or two from now. Hopefully not that long. I know there's a time jump, I think, in the books. I haven't gone up. I'm already reading book 4 at the moment, and I have to resume that later. So that's a theory. Another theory is for the Blackfish, Catelyn Stark's brother. I'm sorry, her uncle. He took the luckiest piss of his life. He walked right out of that before it even happened, which I thought was a little bit plot convenience. But I still don't understand how he'll be able to escape, since the whole army outside Robb Stark's banner is just destroyed because they were all slit. All their throats were slit. They were drunk from basically Al that they were serving. He planned this out perfectly, Walder Frey, you know? And I don't see how Blackfish can go walk past all these guards and everything that's happening around him. But he'll probably be alive, because if he wasn't killed in that scene with everybody, he's probably alive, and he's probably going to seek vengeance, which means I don't think he'll unite with Daenerys, because she won't get there in time. So that means he's going to lead the rebellion with the Northmen against Walder Frey, Bolton. He's going to unite the Riverlands. They're probably going to stand their ground as long as they can. Sadly, that will not be enough unless an army can reinforce them, and Daenerys' army is nowhere close to that. The only person that could help him out is Stannis, if he had his fully forced army with him. He does not at the moment. We do not know how they're going to play this out. Blackfish might not even do a rebellion. He might just go away. He might just go into hiding and try to find Arya, maybe. If he knew she existed, of course. So I'm just throwing theories out right now. But I also want to get to another point right now with this. Why watch this show? A lot of people, when they do vlogs about the reaction of what they say, they tend to rant on about how much they hate something or how much they don't agree with it. I just take it like a grain of salt. And why should you continue watching the show? Because of the experience. You don't know who's going to live. You don't know who's going to die. It's like life. Sometimes you're riding high on the horse, and other times you die. Sorry, that was pretty bad. But it relates to life. It does. With the experience of, like, if your family ever got cancer after you won the football game, Robb, what happened to him could just as much happen to anybody, I guess, is what I'm saying. Not as that dramatic, that gruesome, of course. Holy crap, no, hopefully not. But that whole scenario. One day, you're strolling in, everyone liking you. The other day, you're dead. He was king, now he's dead. And the books, I hope they don't go as gruesome as to show his body being mutilated as they did in the books. There was a description where he was basically crucified with headless, and instead of his head, it was replaced by his wolf. It was disturbing, and I hope they do not show that in the show. But going back to why you should watch the show, the experience is just phenomenal. I mean, when's the last time you talked about a show this much? Lost? Probably when you were disappointed in the ending, which I'm so thankful I did not watch, because I heard so many bad things about it. This show, you can feel disappointed, but you can still root for the underdog. You can still root for more characters. You can still root for them to succeed. And there is still hope for it to succeed. Robb, Catelyn, their story has ended. Their story has gone on to a new thing. It's being carried and lived out with their children, with Catelyn's children, Arya, Bran, Rickon. And their legacy still lives on. So this whole importance of them passing away and dying is very important to the structure of the show. With Ned Stark's death in Season 1, that was a shocker. This is a freaking firework display of explosion that's just... oh. And right now, the internet's probably going to go blown up right now with all this, if you never read the books, and to some good degree, and that's why I want to get this out before anyone else does. With Ned Stark's death, it served a huge purpose. It will serve a very big purpose. It means the South has basically won. It means that the North has lost. It means that they're probably going to become under rule with the South, but also winter's coming. Winter is sweeping through this war-stricken land, and they're not prepared. Their food isn't collected. They're going to die. They're going to starve out. The South is going to feel these effects as well from all these wars. The others, which is the White Walkers, they're going to come down. They're going to destroy everyone if nobody is able to stop them. The only person that could probably stop them is Daenerys, because of her dragons, power of fire. Sadly, we don't know what's going to happen, but we know that the show is going to throw more curveballs at us. The show is going to test the viewer. And I've never seen a show that would do this before. It's more than shock value. It's more than a slap in the face from George Martin, as people would joke and say. As I would joke and say. But it's more than that. It's a strange caring for every one of these characters to live on and root for them. And you know they're all going to die eventually, as we all do. One day, we'll pass away. And in this show, one day they'll pass away as well. But how they're going to pass away. How they're going to do this. What legacy will they leave behind? What legacy will you leave behind? See what I'm saying? And Walder Frey, evil. Robb Stark, good. Obviously. But there's more gray areas in there. What led to his downfall was he's a 16-year-old boy. He's going to have these urges. He's going to go off and break his vows and have other people pay the price for him. He was put in this position because of his father's death. And his father's death, the way he handled it, led to his downfall. And his mother couldn't help but just watch in dismay. Now, as we learned from watching Arya with Thoros of Myr, there is potential resurrection. I don't think they're going to get resurrected, guys. I wouldn't bet too much on that. So, and it's just amazing how much of reaction fans will have to this. And I'm curious to see where this will pursue in the future. The past couple hours from now, what you will do. What will you do with this show? Will you leave it behind? Will you go on to, let's say, Mad Men? Will you go on to freaking Sci-Fi Channel and watch their happy-go-lucky shows? Or will you stick with this show and not know the good, happy ending curveballs? And not know what's going to happen? And instead of watching television that will not challenge you, will give you a detective problem that will be solved in an hour from CSI or something like that, will you instead take this challenge, watch this show, not know what's going to happen? Will you read the books? Will you become not a true fan, but will you challenge yourself to experience this very special television show? No point in my life have I seen a show that could pull off so many different things at so many different times with so many different characters. And I'm glad that I'm here watching this show. And even though it's just a television series, I'm loving it. And right now, I'm sad as hell after watching Catelyn Stark's throat get slit and no music playing in the credits. But I'm still glad that I have Game of Thrones, and I'm curious to see where they're going to go with this. And for those people who say it's shock value, not really. This is what happens when you're in this world of Game of Thrones. When you don't play the rules. When you fail and you don't have a second chance to succeed. In life, there won't always be a second chance. And it's do or die sometimes. And here, Robb lost. And that's why I'm going to get a different profile picture. And that's why I hope that you'll still watch the reviews that I make. And I will see you guys on the next Robb Reviews. Alright. Thank you for watching this, and I hope you have a nice night. And continue with the show. This has been Rob Summerhays, signing off.